everyone! As you have requested, here is a tutorial on how I use the Pentel Pocket Brush Pen. Now obviously for this video I'll be using the Pentel Pocket Brush Pen. I will also be using for my sketch the Prismacolor Color Erase colored pencil and rose, a kneaded eraser, and of course Strathmore Bristol paper. Obviously I'm not going to draw on this because this is for a pen, but those are what I use. Now, first of all, I'd like to put a disclaimer out there that I am not a pro at this. This is merely how I use this pen. I don't want anyone to think that I'm saying this is the end-all be-all of anything. Absolutely not. This is just how I do it. I always take the cap off because I find that that is going to hinder me somehow in my grip. You don't have to. That's just what I do. And I do a couple of test strokes on a scrap sheet of paper that you should always have next to you in case you need to get back in the groove. And you can see that by applying pressure, you get a thicker stroke, and by lifting lightly, you get a stroke. And by swishing faster, it leaves less ink, depending upon the type of paper you're using. So, this is Bristol paper. It's very smooth vellum, so I'm not going to get a whole lot of texture. In the beginning, I'm going to show you, this is the average speed. I haven't sped this up quite yet, and you can see that my strokes are very delicate. I take my time, especially with small strokes. The more detailed I am in the piece, the smaller my strokes are, and the slower I go. If I want to create more movement in my strokes, then I will give it a little bit of, I won't go as slow. I'll try and get that movement with my wrist. But basically, it's all about taking your time, pressing and pulling, being very gentle and very tedious. And as you can see, when I want to get a variation in my line weight, I press more. So as you can see, that I always stroke from towards myself, basically. A friend of mine gave me that advice, and I started inking that way, and it's always helped. Sometimes I'll deviate for a stroke here and there, but in order to get the most control as you possibly can, always stroke with the brush going towards yourself. See, even there I'm going away, but I'm not stroking very far. Now, if you're feeling that you're not confident enough to do long brush strokes, then don't. Do small strokes. Take your time, do it small, because the longer you run your wrist or your arm, wherever you lead into on your stroking, the less control you're going to have. So you get more control by taking your time, doing a smaller stroke, and basically when you feel like, if you're stroking away from yourself or in a position to where your hand doesn't feel comfortable, then you're not going to gather that control. It's all about becoming comfortable. And unfortunately, I know no one wants to hear this, but comfort comes with practice. I've been using this tool now for almost about a year, I want to say, and I'm still not 10% comfortable with where I am with it. But my strokes, my variation in my strokes, and all that I've learned from practice. So you can see that when I wanted to get a little bit of variation and I didn't want a whole lot of control for the hair, I was stroking upward. Oh, by the way, I'm drawing a Cerebus, my own version of a Cerebus. Sorry, I didn't say that in the beginning. You're probably like, what is this wackadoo, creepy, spooky thing she's drawing? I don't know, I just wanted to draw something spooky, so I drew a Cerebus. But anyways, one of the, the best things about this pen, in my opinion, is your line variation and how you can get from very thin lines to very thick lines and building up. You can achieve variations in line weight, you can achieve shading, you can do cross hatching, you can do black and white and not necessarily color blocking, but you can basically do monochromatic shading or monochromatic color blocking with merely just the ink and creating texture, as you can see I did with like the black blood or goop or slobber that is coming from the left head's mouth. Now, you see that ear that I just did, I did it a little faster, I was a little more confident. Confidence is everything. I was trying something different. What's cool is I like to try different things with each one of my pieces, or different ways of laying down brush strokes and seeing what I enjoy the best and creating textures and all that good stuff. Best way to do it is to just try new things every time and not get discouraged, because if you don't like something, you could always draw it again. I actually have, and for those of you who follow me on Snapchat, you'll know this is not the original drawing of the Cerebus that I did. I drew another version, didn't like it, flipped it over, and now this is on the back of that. So no big deal. But yeah, I'm creating all the little details. You don't have to do everything all at once. It's building. Pinning upon your style, that could be it. Some people do thick lines. Some people do really thin lines. Some people do really clean lines. Obviously, for this sort of piece, I didn't want it to be clean. I wanted some of it to be a little bit dysfunctional, some of it to be a little unconventional, and in other ways, I didn't want it to be, see there I am referring to that scrap piece of paper. I didn't want it to be clean, and I didn't want the lines to be, I find that while clean lines are obviously wonderful for certain aspects of different pieces, I also find that it loses a lot of character and it loses a lot of feeling. You can add a lot to your style and a lot to your art piece simply with your strokes and your line art, or your lack of line art if you so choose. So what I really enjoy using the Pentel Pocket Brush Pen for is for comic booky styles, or like a nitty gritty dark sort of style, and laying in like almost the very textury sort of thing. You can create amazing hair with it, you can create amazing shapes, different textures and darks and lights. I really suggest you experiment with your line weights and what you can get doing it. Merely, obviously you start out, even when I'm blocking things in, I'm just using it with shapes and then going from there. And several times I'll go back and say, you know what, I think this needs a little bit more. The best way to approach that, especially if, it's kind of like painting, you can, do a little bit at a time, because you can't go back with the ink, It's better to want to be able to add more, because you can't take it away. So it's better to do a little bit at a time than doing too much all at once. So especially if you're, uncomfortable with it, or you're just learning, or you're testing it out, definitely do a little bit at a time and then add more as you go along. That's, really that's the most I can say for you, is to just practice, practice, practice. It's incredible for all that you can achieve with this pen. It's really amazing. But it does take a lot of practice. It's really intimidating because it is like a brush pen and it's so thin on the end. And, one little bout of strength or lack of strength can really make or break your piece. So it's really important that you gain that confidence and you trust yourself, and you basically learn how to maneuver the pen in your favor. And the best way to do that is to practice and find little pieces and figure out what you like and what you dislike, and try new things and creative things with how you want to use your pen tool. But I hope you guys thought that this was helpful. You asked for this video and I am happy to provide it. If you have any further questions, please feel free to leave them in the comment section below. If you like this video, please give it a big thumbs up and subscribe to my channel for more art videos. I hope you guys have an amazing week and or day. I will see you guys in the next video. Bye-bye!